50 blades of grass, getting all the dirt. Welcome to the June 2025 podcast. We have some interesting topics, so let's move on into the podcast. John, we have a lot to cover today, and I'm sure that our golfers would be very interested.
Yeah, I agree. We should get on with it.
I'm sure they'll all enjoy
You
it.
bet they will.
Why don't we just turn the podcast over to the adults?
I guess so. Let's go.
John, a couple of questions have come up with some of the golfers, and I thought maybe it'd be interesting to kind of revisit a topic we had, but it's how do we measure stemp, and really who decides on what our rating should be?
Yeah, well, the reason why we use a stemp to begin with is to get some kind of comparative data between greens as far as the ball roll. That gives us an indication of ball, resistance to the ball roll, and if you want to call it the speed of the green. So we're looking for a consistent number, relatively consistent number from green to green. Obviously, on greens like number 6 and 11, they're going to be a little different. So it's a different turf type. So it's all, everything is not speed. We also look at this from a health perspective.
Okay.
We can get greens fast, but they're going to be thin and they will be firmer, but we're looking at overall health of the plant. So we usually take a stemp. Lately, the pro shop's been asking for a daily. We probably do it every other day. It doesn't really, when we're doing the same practices of mowing and rolling, they average about the same. And here at Round Hill, they're about a 10.5 on a normal day. We can get them up to 11 plus, but we manipulate the moisture in the greens and the amount of fertility, the amount of growth, let's say for an event, we'll kind of lean back on those just to make them firmer.
So when we're going into some tournament play, very much like we have today, or some internal tournament, do you try to get a higher stemp or faster speed?
On the outside events, not particularly. I mean, our cultural practices come first. So today, even if we didn't have this event, we'd still double groom the greens today. We didn't roll them today, but we did double lightly verticut the greens today. That doesn't necessarily make them faster. It just makes them a little bit smoother.
Okay. So who determines what number we establish? Is it the pro shop or is it you or is it your organization?
I think that that's all predicated on the health of the green. I mean, the pro shop's not going to say we want 12s.
Okay.
Well, we'll get 12s, but I don't think we'll have any greens left.
Yes. Yeah. So you're really driving the stemp and how it is based on the health of the greens and so on.
Right. I mean, in different times of year, it's going to be different just because of the overall moisture, the exposure, the.
Okay. Okay, good. That's a good roundup understanding of what the stemp is and so on. And I'll try right at this point to show examples of how it's done, and we'll kind of be able to provide that feedback to the golfing community. Let's see how it's done.
Measuring green speed with a USGA stemp meter is an important part of data collection at many golf courses. This information helps superintendents maintain consistent and appropriate green speeds. The first thing to do is find a good location. There shouldn't be a difference of more than 18 inches when a golf ball is rolled in opposite directions on the same line, and the break should be minimal. Once you find a good location, mark the starting point. You want to take measurements in the same spot every time to make good comparisons. When you're ready, place the stemp meter down on the mark and set the first golf ball in the notch. Raise the stemp meter slowly until the ball releases. Once it starts rolling, keep the stemp meter still, otherwise you'll influence the result. Roll 2 more balls in the same direction, making sure not to hit the others. All 3 should end up less than 8 inches apart when done properly. Place a tee in the green at the end of the stemp meter, and then use your tape measure to find the average stopping point of all 3 balls. Mark that spot with another tee. This will now be the starting point for the second part of the test, rolling in the opposite direction. Roll 3 balls back toward the initial starting point and measure the average distance of that group. Then add the average distance of both groupings and divide by 2 to get the speed for that group.
Next question is, I noticed as we're driving around that we're still using the old driving range mats over the drains. And is that a practice where you're going to keep those covers there all the time, or do you take them off at certain times?
So those are actually replaced from last season's. I mean, we still have a number of old driving range mats, so we did cut some new ones out. Again, that just helps the impact on the mower when they go over those drains.
Okay. And does it provide some kind of filtering so large debris doesn't go back into the drainage system?
A little bit, but it's there's not a whole lot that goes in there. I mean, the drains themselves, they don't allow a lot to go in, just
Okay.
more so impact for the mowers.
And the plan is to keep using those on a permanent basis.
Right, and I don't know, I mean, they're certainly playable off them if you're ball
Oh,
length.
yes, not a problem at all. No problem. It was just curiosity. Third topic is our mini electric mower. I haven't seen it around much. Maybe you can give us a status of how it went, how the program went, and are we going to continue it? Are we looking at different items?
So we're evaluating other mowers, and there's constant improvements to these small
Mhm.
mowers. In fact, the ones that the brand that we had actually came out with a ball pusher just because it does go over balls on occasion, and it'll get hung up on a few things. So
Yes.
there's a few other models out there. Obviously, they do the same thing. I was really impressed with the consistency and the frequency it did go out, the amount of time it did take to charge and resume where it was mowing from. I think it did overall a good job. I think as the end of our trial went, we probably should have replaced those blades a little more frequently because the
Okay.
turf was starting to get frayed and you can really tell, but it did still mow.
Okay. And I noticed in looking at some of the things on the internet, there are larger units as well. Are you considering that in the future?
It's a little more involved. We still have to look at the overall infrastructure here at the maintenance facility. Can we support new technology like that? Right now, we're really not there. The power demand is quite high for that, especially when you get into more battery life.
Okay. All right. And really, the final question is, you see the course very different than we do as golfers. From your perspective, what improvements to the course would you make?
A big one, Jim, is obviously we look at overall turf quality and consistency, but at some point in time, the club will have to reconsider regrassing, resurfacing what we have now. As you know, we have a mixed bag of cool season grasses,
Right.
some warm season in there. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to culture these stands when you have so many different species growing. They all have different watering requirements, fertility requirements. So we kind of treat it all as a cool season plant in general. But as far as the future goes, it is old, tired turf, and short of renovation, it's just a resurfacing. I
Yes.
mean, and may want to consider even the thought of Bermuda down the road,
Hmm.
just because of its durability, its tolerance for a lot of traffic,
Yes.
less demands on fertility. There's other different cultural practices that have to go along with that.
Okay.
The other thing I think we have to look at some of these infrastructure issues is our cart paths.
Yes.
I did a video log for myself, just went right down all the paths, just noting what has to be repaired and what extent the damage is.
Mhm.
So, it starts to add up when you look at it that way. I mean, in terms of the quantity that may have to be replaced. So, we have a lot of cracks. There's nothing crumbling up, but there's a lot of bumps in them, and
Yes.
they're starting to fissure. As soon as water gets underneath them, we have added problems along with that.
Yes.
Um, again, on the infrastructure side, we have an irrigation system that's 25 years old and a pump station that's 25 years old.
Yes.
You have to look at those items, as far as the bones of the golf course itself,
Right.
so,
Okay.
and those are probably the big three right there.
Okay.
It's quite a bit.
It is quite a bit, but it gives us a better perspective, at least from the maintenance side, from your viewpoint. So, well, John, thanks again for taking the time. I do appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, Jim. Thank you.
John, those adults did a great job on that podcast. What do you think?
Oh, they're always good. I enjoy them.
Okay, good. Good night now.
All right. Same to you, Jim. Thank you.
Now, don't forget to send me those questions. That makes this podcast go. So remember, send them to this email address right up here. Thanks again for your help.